All right, and hey, welcome back to another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast this week. And as always, my name is Scott Penfold. I'm your host. And for the next half hour, it's going to be all stuff hard rock and metal, as I'm going to be talking to Elias Soriano, frontman from NONPOINT, who's going to be talking to me in the first segment. And NONPOINT, I mean, a band that's been around since 1997, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know about that. But really came to the forefront when they did the song In the Air Tonight, the Phil Collins cover for the Miami Vice movie, which came back in, I think it would have been 06 or 07, around there. And yeah, that really put them on the map for me as well, man. And yeah, great to talk to them. They've just blossomed and just taken over as such an incredible hard rock and metal band out of Florida. So can't wait to be talking to Elias just about what's going on and what we can possibly expect from NONPOINT in the days ahead. And as always, in the second portion of the program, I'll be talking with Johnny Rude. He's Loaded Radio's own Johnny Rude. Got to put that in there. From Las Vegas, Nevada, where we talk about the week that was in hard rock and metal. Specifically, we're going to be talking about his experience going down to see Skid Row and the Scorpions at their recent residency in Las Vegas. It just happened, and apparently he said he's got a story to tell us about that, so you can stick around for that afterwards as well, okay? But as always, we're going to get right down to a discussion with this gentleman here. He is the frontman for probably one of my favorite hard rock metal bands right now. Love this band, hailing from Florida. I'm talking about the band NONPOINT, of course. And here's the lead singer, Elias Soriano. Elias, thanks very much, man. How you doing? Great to have you on the podcast this week.
Yep. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
Oh, great, man. Old school fan. I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you, man.
I guess first thing I want to get into is just, I guess now that the pandemic is somewhat wrapping up, as I guess we could call it somewhat. Did you find that you spent a lot of time actually working on music over the pandemic, or what did you spend a lot of time doing?
I spent a lot of time testing a lot of ideas, as did many people, I guess. When you're left to your own devices and you kind of don't know where the next day is going to, what the next day is going to bring, you turn on the hustle machine and you start trying to figure out, things that you can do from home. And everybody kind of figured that out. That's why the job industry is having so much trouble just filling, places at restaurants and, retail stores, because people kind of figured it out how to do it from home. And right. It's nice when you kind of can be around the family or, spend more time enjoying your life instead of just feeling like it's work. So during that time, I decided to work and really spend as much time on refocusing the band and the brand, to the fans and really reconnecting with the fans, and having time to, get into what they wanted to see the next steps of NONPOINT be. And through a lot of testing with our music and a lot of testing with our social media, we kind of found a groove.
Is there been work on a follow-up to X as of yet?
Yeah. Ruthless dropped. That was the EP, and that's the one that we, that has Ruthless and Back in the Game and the other couple of songs in our cover of When Doves Cry, which was, picked by great. Our fans. Thank you. Which was picked by our fans to be the next one that we covered. So that one became so popular amongst the fan group that we decided to drop it on the EP.
Well, now that you're talking about covers, I mean, you guys have covered Pantera, Phil Collins, Prince. Is there any chance that you may at one time think about releasing maybe a covers project or a covers album?
Our fans have asked about it, and I'm sure by record 10, 11, it's you want to definitely change it up. So we've been throwing around the idea because people do like our reimagined versions of the songs that we do cover. So I think that's something that you can expect from us in at least the next 5 years.
Oh, that'll be cool, man. Very cool. I guess it would have been back in, was it April of last year that you guys had created your own label, 361 Degrees Records. What was the reason for making that decision?
Well, we needed a vehicle to kind of present the music. And, when you become independent, you have very few tools to distribute your music that seem to have all of the same levels and teams and channels to promote your music that labels have. And when we thought about our future, we wanted to create an entity that we would treat as a label. So, how would we want to be treated as NONPOINT by a label? And we decided to be that label for ourselves. So that means we got a creative team. We have an administrative team. We have a legal team. We have an accounting team. And through those people, we just put in people that we really trust and have known for years, and worked with in some cases in a really untraditional way, and then made them partners in the label. So that way they know that the work that they did, prior pandemic, through the pandemic, and then now is going to start paying dividends, because they cared for us the way we wanted the music and the artwork to be cared for, and even showed us, places where we weren't caring for it enough. And that's when we knew that we were putting the right team around us.
It's a certain sense of freedom, I'm sure, of course.
It's definitely night and day, because we can pivot when things change, and there's no real, schedule or calendar or that we have to stick to. No one knows what we're doing next. So when we have plans and they have to alter a little bit, we kick ourselves in the head and, strategize how we can meet those deadlines next time around better. But I can't tell you how many times being on major labels that I've had albums pushed, that I've had albums, we can't put it out, this quarter because it's the fourth quarter. So we got to put it out next year. And, we wrote it earlier that year, so it almost feels like it's 2 years old. And there's all those things that you always have to deal with when you're dealing with the big major label machine.
Right.
But again, there are all of those teams and those professionals and those budgets that you have access to. So I wouldn't call it a necessary evil. It's just a part of the music industry that allows big brands to scale up. We're a pretty decent sized brand, but the kind of attention that we feel like will get us to that next level is attention that in those big machines, it's hard to ask for that. Sure. Because, there's the numbers game, and there's obvious things you always have to answer to people above you, which then at the end of the day goes to the shareholders, and, shareholders in the major label situations are now asking themselves, hey, I'm investing in this. Why wouldn't I invest in Spotify when Spotify seems to be growing? Where should I put my money? And then that's when labels have to get tighter with their budgets and smarter with their releases. So things get tougher.
Certainly so. Now, you had mentioned Spotify, and how do you feel about streaming services in general? Do you dig them? Do you think that artists should be paid more? What's your feeling on them?
It's the new way. It is. I really don't have an opinion, because I've been through enough delivery systems of music to know that it's a matter of progress. Mm-hmm. Things were on wax. Less than 100 years ago, we were releasing stuff, on record and listening to it through a radio antenna. Yeah. It goes over to 8 tracks, and then it goes to cassette tapes, and then it goes to CDs, and then it goes to MP3s, and now it's streaming service. So my first record was released on tape and on vinyl. Mm-hmm. That was my first on tape or on a CD, and that was it. It wasn't even released on vinyl. So I saw tapes disappear in my lifetime. I saw vinyl take a dip. I saw, CDs disappear, and now everything's starting to kind of revive. So it's turned into an extra added value piece to an artist's merchandise line, where I am planning on releasing one of our EPs on tape, because I remember the days of popping a tape in a tape player and, turning on my mega bass and ruining the sound and making it sound as, you never shut it off. But it would be cool for, fans and their kids, coming up these days to get a NONPOINT branded cassette.
That would be awesome, man. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But it's going to be super expensive for me to do, but that's what it's about now. It's almost creating an NFT with a cassette player that's what people are getting. It's the experience with the brand. That's really what's driving everything. And when you start to understand that relationship, I think that's what's really going to start changing the music industry business model, where instead of labels being and partners with their shareholders, they're going to start becoming partners, true partners with the artists that they sign.
And I mean, even using that model, do you see the band moving forward like a lot of other bands are doing, or like you've done already with just releasing EP sporadically? Or, I mean, do you think the album has gone by the wayside for you personally? What do you think?
I think that now it's going to be almost like Games of Thrones. There's, however many seasons of Games of Thrones, each one had its own DNA, and then Games of Thrones as a whole is an album. So I feel like the new transition is going to start leaning towards, small EPs, testing the fan base, getting people excited, validating it, and then them building out a big enough catalog in order to tour. Because here's what people don't realize. It's like, our album's going to go away. Never. They can't, because a new up and coming band can't tour on one song.
No.
There has to be a body of work. There has to be some kind of like vision of catalog at the end of that road. So that's where, if you look at what we're discussing in 361, is it's the model of finding the talent and then going back to that old school model of the 70s, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you partnered with that artist and you built and developed the artist, showed them how to do better on stage, helped them build out their production. That all came from like label. That didn't come from, now it comes from artists and artist budgeting and artist funding. That stuff used to come from labels through their development. And that's where the 80-20 split made sense, because they were growing you bigger than you could have ever grown yourself. So if, me making 80-20 on a split with a label that's making me millions, that makes sense.
Yeah.
To do that.
How would you find the Florida metal scene today? Being that Florida was such a big and important part of the history of metal as a genre, how would you explain the Florida metal scene today? Does it still resonate?
I don't know. I'm in the Midwest right now. We are from Florida. I lived down there for quite some time, but my reporting back, I know that there isn't much of a scene. The EDM scene was already taking over when we got signed.
Oh,
so
really?
I don't think there's much of a rock scene down there anymore. Though bands do tour and rock bands do go down there and play, there's definitely a rock fan base down there. But as far as the actual scene and local rock bands, I'm not as well-rounded as I'd like to be on what's going on down there.
Because there's so many great metal bands. I mean, especially death metal bands that have come out of Florida that I just love. So it's almost kind of heartbreaking, kind of a shame. It was such a sacred area, sacred ground.
It was at one time. It was where it was at.
Absolutely. Looking back at the history of you guys, I mean, I think that what really brought you guys into prominence was the Miami Vice movie. How did you guys get that?
That actually came way after the fact that we recorded that. That I believe we had already moved on from Lava Atlantic. Michael Mann was putting together the movie. A fan of NONPOINT, happened to be their music director and music supervisor for Michael Mann at the time. And she, even though Michael Mann didn't want anything associated with the old Miami Vice to be brought into the new Miami Vice, she thought the song would fit perfect for the movie. So she actually took one of the commercials that they were going to drop, a demo for one of the commercials, and cut our song to the commercial.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And left it on his desk with no label. So he just picks it up and puts it in his computer, and then it starts to play. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh my God, I love this. What is this? Who is this?" And she was like, "That was the band that covered the Phil Collins song." So he's like, "Oh, okay. It's got to be in the movie." She's like, "Well, the movie's already going to the theaters. We can't re-edit the actual movie because that would take too much." He was like, "Well, we can roll it over the last credits, right?" And he was like, yeah, we can definitely do that. So what they did was they edited it into the end of the movie to roll over the credits. And then when the DVD came out, they cut it into the rescue scene.
Yes.
Where they saved the young lady from the trailer.
Yeah, and it's a really powerful scene too. And the thing is that we did this thing on our website where, because the song's been covered by so many artists, and we had you guys in there, we had In This Moment in there, and you guys were voted by our listenership as the one cover of that tune. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know what? We got lucky with that song. A friend of ours suggested it. It was something that I grew up listening to coming from South Florida. I mean, Miami Vice was massive down there.
Sure, yeah.
And when that song broke in the series, it was. I mean, all of our friends were driving down the beach, blasting it, putting the windows down in the Trans Am. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So cruising the beach.
Yeah.
It definitely had its hold on me already. And then when we were in the studio, we had just signed to Lava Atlantic. We had a 3-month studio. The studio was paid for 3 months. We finished recording in about a month and had the studio to ourselves for 2 months. And the label was like, have you guys ever considered putting a cover on your record? And we're like, yeah. So we threw around some ideas. And at the time, our drum tech, Scotty, was like, man, you guys should cover In the Air Tonight. You guys are from Miami. That song's like Miami, ain't it? And I was like, yeah, man, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. We started futzing around with the song. I swear I went through like 5 different versions. It was the hardest goddamn song. Right?
Really?
It was so hard to put together, even though it seems so simple, because we kind of went back to basics and
it sounds very natural.
Yeah, I really kind of let the guys just started playing with tones. I remember the sound that you hear in the verses on the guitar, that high pitched sound, is an EBO that Andy had just bought as an idea. He was like, "Oh, let me grab this thing out of it was a Sam Ash. It was a Sam Ash music store."
Yeah,
and he grabbed an EBO, and it just came out. And Rob started doing this tribal thing. Next thing you know, I just started singing over top of it, and bing, bang, boom.
Anyway, it worked out so nicely, man. Really did. Elias, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk to us today at Loaded Radio. Anytime. Man. And man, all the best, and thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care, Elias. All the best.
Later, Scott.
And there's Elias from NONPOINT. And yeah, man, I can't wait to hear this new LP on cassette if that does come to fruition. I mean, that would be great. They're an awesome band, man. And certainly check out, I mean, they've got so many releases. Check them all out because it's just such a unique flavor, I think, of, good Florida hard rock and metal. And you got to check it out for yourself. They're so great. If you don't know them already, that is. But hey, I'm Scott Penfold, and I'm now being joined, let me just pull them up here, by Loaded Radio's own Johnny Rude, who's based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And Johnny, I guess we got a lot to talk about with you, man.
Okay, I went to the Scorps in Skid Row. We can chat about that.
Yeah, cool, you know what? So tell me about the night. Tell me what happened.
All right. Anyways, yeah. So I saw the Scorps with Scorpions with Skid Row opening at Zappos Theater inside Planet Hollywood. Very cool venue. Pretty sure I saw 9 Inch Nails, a few other cool bands there. But yeah, it's a soft seater, but man, it's special to see these classic rock bands in places like that. So anyways, I walked in, got there a little earlier. And Skid Row opened with Slave to the Grind and right into Big Guns.
Nice.
Super cool. Band was on fire, dude. And it's weird. I haven't seen them in a while. I saw them at Sunset Station out here maybe 4 years ago. Yeah. They had a different singer in the band.
Yeah, ZP Therrett was their singer back then.
Right. And he was pretty good. Yep. I saw them with Tony Harnell.
Did you see them with Tony? I never saw them with Tony.
It wasn't. I think Tony Harnell is a killer singer for his project. Sebastian, man, he is a great singer. He's a tough one to match. He gets a lot of accolades for his singing, man. So if you can sing I Remember You and all that stuff, you're doing well.
Yeah.
So Tony Harnell, to me, couldn't pull it off.
No. Okay.
And I think even when you were talking to Dave, he kind of said kind of the same thing. He didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I was talking to Dave Snake Sabo on a couple of podcasts ago, we talked about like all the singers that have been in, but he didn't tell me about Eric Gronwall. He kept that to himself. He lied to me because I said I was talking about ZP on the new album, and he goes, "Oh yeah, he went along with it." He didn't reveal that it was Eric.
because they were coming out with a new single with this guy and they wanted to debut it.
Yeah, The Gang's All Here, it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, The Gang's All Here. So anyways, I go in and it's just, your knee-jerk reaction. It's like, oh, who's that? But then you listen. This kid did amazing, dude. He did fantastic. He gave you goosebumps. He's singing it really good. He's got a different look, of course. It's a different guy up there. Oh, and one other guy we forgot to mention, Johnny Solinger. He was in the band for years after Bass.
That's right. He was the late Johnny Solinger.
The late, that's right.
Who passed away. Yeah,
he did. Anyways, dude, I just sat there. They were great. They were cool, man. I'd say
now Eric Rommel used to sing for the band Heat, and it's kind of full circle for him because a year ago he uploaded a video, I think it was to YouTube, of him singing a Skid Row song. I think it might have been 18 in Life, and now a year later it's come full circle, and he's fronting Skid Row. The show that you saw on March 30th was only their second performance with Eric.
That's right. They debuted him here.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy, man. And
it is. Super nice guy too. Afterwards, I ended up hanging out and meeting him.
Yeah. So hold on. So afterward, did they say you have access to Dave, or how did that work out?
Well, I got my tickets and passes, and I got those, and when you have a couple drinks in you, Scott, everything reverts back to how things were. So I had my passes, and I don't know. I just went. I started talking to security after the. Well, let me just go. I'll come to that in a second.
Okay.
The band was cool, dude. They played all the hits. It was great, tight. Really, really good. If you're a Skid Row fan, go see it. If you dig the tunes, I know some people are partial. Well, it's not Sebastian. It's not Skid Row. Yeah, that was 30 years ago, guys. Get over it. If you dig the band, go see these guys. So anyways, after the show, I end up saying, I'm going to go back there. Like I said, man, if you have a couple drinks, all of a sudden, everything is normal. No masks in the venue unless you chose to wear them, but no one's wearing them. So I went up to the security guy and I got my pass. And I say, hey, where do I go with this? Oh, we don't know. We're not sure. I said, well, it's got to be this way. And got introduced to some supervisor, and he goes, oh, I think you go down there. So I walked down this ramp, and they're setting up the Scorpions at this point.
Yeah.
And so I go down, and then someone says, oh, you go through this door. Next thing you know, I go through this door. I'm outside. I go, oh, geez, they kicked me out. They kicked me out of the venue. Damn it, I'm kicked out. So I see a security guard sitting on a chair. I go, hey, listen, I got this pass. I want to go see my friends. Where do I go? She goes on the little walkie-talkie radio dealio there and comes back. Oh, just go upstairs. There's a catwalk for an outside, dressing room, backstage area. So I walked upstairs, just knocked on the door and opened it. And I saw Dave and come on in, man. And all of a sudden, right then and there is when you kind of snap into it. It's like, oh, shit. I don't think I'm supposed to be here because of the COVID rules.
Oh, right.
I'm backstage. And I'm like, oh, geez. I was like, oh, shit. Okay. And I went to Dave. I go, hey, is it cool? And he goes, yeah, it's cool, man. It was only me, me and this other guy. And the band's all there with a couple of their crew dudes. Yeah. And, they're just.
It was like Rachel Bolan hanging out and stuff.
Yeah, everyone was there, dude. Rachel was believe it or not, Rachel was in a mask.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Yeah. And I applauded that. And I go, this is when it all kind of was kicking into me. I'm like, oh, shit. And Scotty was talking to someone. Drummer dude was chatting, and then new singer guy was sitting down at the back. I spent most of my time chatting with Dave just about the good old days and bullshit like that. Right, and then went over to Scotty and chatted with him a bit. And then I saw Rachel. I go, hey, Rachel. He goes, hey, man. I go, everything cool? He goes, yeah, everything's good. And, I said, cool show, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then I went over and saw Eric. I go, hey, Eric. I go, let me get a pic with you, man. I go, you did fantastic tonight. He goes, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. He may have said it was his second show. I'm not even sure. Yeah. But the funny thing was there was a guy sitting in front of me, and he turns around to me and he's going, hey, man, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. And he's pointing to his shirt, and he goes, do you know what this shirt is? I go, yeah, it says Heat. That's Eric's other band, the singer. I said, oh, shit, cool. So I said to Eric, I go, there's some guy downstairs. You're his favorite singer. He's wearing your shirt. He met you on the Monsters of Rock cruise. And he goes, wow, that's cool, man. He goes, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And then ended up just chatting with the drummer and Dave for a bit. And again, that whole realization, it's like, okay, I came and said hi. Johnny from Loaded Radio and blah, blah, blah. Dave said, great talking to you, Scott, and we reminisced about some more things and then ended up cutting out. So I was maybe up there for about 15 minutes, didn't want to stick around. But as I'm walking down, I'm going, oh my God, it was weird. Again, I don't think anyone was supposed to be there, but like I said, a few drinks and you're supposed to be there. It was awesome.
And that's the thing too, is like for people listening, it's like anytime I go to a concert with Johnny, somehow we always end up backstage, man. It just always happens. It's magical.
It just happens. Just follow my lead. Let's go. You're supposed
pretty much,
to be,
man.
Yeah, you're supposed to be
We've hung out
there.
with so many bands, dude. Like
I know. Yeah. It's just, you don't act like an idiot. You just go and be cool. Don't be a jerk and just say, hey, and that was the whole thing. So it was good. Then when I came back, we had smoking seats and watched the Scorpions, and Mickey D's drumming for them from Motorhead.
How were the Scorpions? How are they sounding?
Killer.
Really, eh?
Yeah. I would say
Klaus is still doing it.
They're still a lot older. Obviously, Rudolph Schenker has not changed. He's not missed a beat. He's still crazy. Nice. Matthias Jabs too. They're really good. They don't have Francis Bowles. They got a new bass player. I'm not sure of his name, but he was great, dude. And Klaus Meine.
Yeah, Klaus Meine.
He still could sing. The range is definitely gone. If you look back when they were doing the US Festival in 1984, Love It First Sting record, and with all that Rock You Like a Hurricane stuff, they were the shit, dude. I saw that tour a couple times. The Scorps Klaus Meine would run around the stage, all of them.
Was like the Blackout tour around there, or
it was after that. Blackout was first, and then
Love It First Sting, maybe.
Love It First Sting. Yeah. And they played Big City Nights, and it was killer, dude.
Oh, Big City Nights. I love that tune. Great song, man.
Oh, great song. Yeah. And everyone knew every tune. What I thought was cool, even though Klaus, he's older guy now, he's not hitting the big notes like he used to or running around, still could sing the stuff. When they played Winds of Change, they did this whole thing for the Ukrainian people. It was moving, dude. It was really cool. Bit of an acoustic thing they did. And then ramped right into it. Nice. And seeing Mickey play, I wasn't pressing my luck going, hey, let's go hang with the score. No, I wasn't doing that. Right. But great to see him up there playing. Great drum solo, of course, that he did, reminiscent of Motorhead. Nice,
man. That would have been cool. And I think it's great too, because there's a lot of people who are making like some really big, serious trips. I mean, some people are coming from across the other side of the globe to come and see this residency of the Scorps in Vegas. So
absolutely, dude. That was this guy that I met. I forget where he was from. He wasn't from Vegas. A lot of people, dude. Not that this is a comparison in music, but it's just the fact that Vegas does these mega residencies now, and people do fly in. And when you get someone like Adele, who's, this iconic singer now, who kind of shits the bed and blames COVID. She basically wasn't prepared for her residency, and her tickets were like $1,300. And
you got to take out a mortgage to go and see fucking Adele in Vegas.
The thing, it was on the news here. People flew in here. They booked time off work and they had hotels. Yeah. They're into it for thousands of dollars to see their favorite artist. And when they cry and boo-hoo on social media and saying, I'm really sorry, I can't do it. Oh, the COVID thing. Well, where is it now? You haven't even said you're doing a redo of anything. She just wasn't prepared, dude. She threw that under the bus, her whole thing, and blamed COVID. Really, and I felt bad for that. Oh yeah. Because there's nothing has been rescheduled. It hasn't, none of that. So yeah, the rock guys seemed to do it right, man. And the Scorps played last night. I think their last night of the residency was last night. And it's so funny, dude. When I'm watching Skid Row and Sebastian lives here now, it's just weird.
I guess you didn't see him in the crowd at all. Either.
No, I didn't see him in the crowd at all, but it's his birthday tonight. And he's doing a big birthday bash with Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp up at Vamped.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I was in town for that.
It's just surreal, dude. You know what I mean? His old band that made him famous is doing a residency here with the Scorps.
Yeah.
And he could do his own thing. He wouldn't do that. He'll do, the Sebastian Bach tour, but it's just weird that you're here in the same city for a week and there's nothing, not even do you want to come and sing a song? There's that much animosity between. There's that much animosity.
That's what I found when I spoke to Dave, is that I think he's got the clear cut answer, and that, I'm happy right now why change things, because I think first off, he's getting sick of being inundated with the question, but also, I mean, the guy's got no love for Sebastian Bach, dude. You can tell, I don't know what exactly went down. There is no love there, man.
No, it's just it's a massive clash of personalities, and it's like creating a monster. And this is our baby, and I think that he took it over, went to it, kind of like the Van Halen with Dave Lee Roth thing too. Right. It's creating a monster. I know there's some other things that did go down, which wasn't cool, but it's too bad, because that would be Skid Row could possibly do their own residency, with Bass. They could do a really cool. They could open for Guns N' Roses and make a lot of money, but it's never going to happen. But for all in all, man, if you go see Skid Row with this new guy, he's killer. He's killer.
From the footage I've seen from the show you were at, there's some of that up on our website, and I watched it. He sounds great. The energy's there with the band too. I think that they sound killer. And it's if you were able to see them, or actually Skid Row, they've announced a ton of tour dates too now. So all the way throughout Europe and North America. So if you had the chance, go see Skid Row, because they're kicking serious ass right now. Yeah,
they are. And this guy's good. Again, it's not Sebastian. Don't go in there. It's not Solinger. It's not, Tony Harnell. It's a new guy, and it's just the way the ball is bounced for this band. But if you dig those tunes, this guy does it justice, man.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. And Scorps, of course, they were fantastic too.
Yeah.
That's great, because you know what? Scorps is a band that no matter how many times I could see that band live, and I would never get sick of seeing them live. They're just so good.
Yeah. And every song, every tune. I mean, I think they formed in like 65 or 68.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like they were like since the late 60s, the Scorps have been around.
And they've had a little lineup changes here and there. The Shanker Brothers and
Uli John Roth.
Yeah. You've had Herman Z. German playing drums.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I saw, I think the first time I saw Scorps would have been maybe 83, somewhere in there. And it could have been the Blackout tour. Yeah. I'm not sure, but always cool, dude. And they're iconic. It's funny. You talk to kids today, and, I was telling someone, I'm going to go see the Scorpions. And they go, what's that? I go, you've never heard of the Scorpions? No. Have you heard the song Rock You Like a Hurricane? Oh, yeah, I know that one. Oh, yeah. Of course you do. I go, that's the Scorpions. Oh, man, they sound cool.
Yeah, every drunken frat boy knows that song and Enter Sandman by Metallica.
Yeah, but they don't know who does the song.
No, they don't. No,
they don't have a clue.
No, they don't. Put on that Hurricane tune,
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's like when people ask for Journey, put on Small Town Girl.
Small Town Girl thing. What's that?
That drives me nuts, dude.
Oh, give me a break.
We used to do our DJ gigs and we'd have people asking for that. That used to drive me nuts.
Oh, it's absolutely nutty. But I think those people back then, when we were spinning that, that was many, many moons ago, they know who Journey is now, but it's just crazy. All these bands, it was Way of the Dodo in a sense, It was, and now that they've all had the resurgence, people know who they are now. People, except these kids I talked to, but they knew the song.
All right, and don't forget that you can check out loadedradio.com 24/7 for all the constantly updated hard rock and metal news. The 24-hour digital quality radio station with all of our shows and everything on there. That's for you as well. Also, all of our podcasts which come out every week, pretty much like what you're listening to right now. And there's so much more. You can even contact us through there as well. So on behalf of Johnny Rude and everybody else at Loaded Radio and loadedradio.com, I want to thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the Loaded Radio podcast, and we'll be back next week with an all-new guest.
Loaded Radio.